Welcome back, everybody, and next up on our agenda will be CAO Leggett and his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. This one's actually just the council meeting calendar here for 2022. The legislative coordinator asked me to bring this up with council just to discuss which meetings you want to keep and which ones you want to cancel for July and August here for the summer months. I understand it's practice to only hold 2 meetings in those months.
Okay, let's start with July, everybody. Do you want to have the council meeting on the 11th or the 25th? Lots of people go on holidays at the last week in July and the 1st of August, so what do you guys think about keeping the 11th and setting out the 25th? Go ahead.
Not that I necessarily have a say in this, Your Worship, but I have a wedding booked on the 9th for my fiance and I was planning on taking a week after that, so I'm not sure if that's going to influence council's decision or not, but I like it.
When is yours again?
The wedding's on the 9th and I was going to take the week after that. I've got lots of family coming out from back east.
Well, we can still run a meeting. I mean, who's next in line? I guess Megan jumps over to that seat. Yeah. Perfect. So what do you guys think? Do you want to go at you want to have the 11th or the 25th? I mean,
it's either way.
okay. Have you, Justin, Councillor Curtis, do you have any?
July's fine with me. August would be my when I want it. That's when I have vacation, is in August.
Okay, well, see, and nobody really cares then, so we will. We will take the 11th off. That works for you? And we'll work on the 25th. So then we run the 5th as our ledge meeting and not the 19th. Everybody good with that? Okay, moving into August. Councillor Curtis, what's your...
I'll be gone. I may be able to hit the 16th meeting, but definitely not the 22nd council meeting.
Okay, so is everybody good with the ledge meeting on the 2nd? Not using that meeting? Canceling the 2nd?
I won't be here. I'll be gone the 2nd and the 8th, but I could tune in remotely. So I won't be here physically, but.
We take the 8th and the 3rd off, and then we come back to 6th.
Yeah.
To the 22nd one. I think so. We haven't set the date when we're leaving yet, but either way, whatever we're working, I'll just take the lap.
And then run it that way, so. That's the way we'll go, I guess, if anybody else doesn't have any concerns, it doesn't fit them, so.
Do we have the parade date too?
The parade date, yes. It's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it should be on the calendar or in our awareness while we're talking about it.
August the 3rd. That's be a Wednesday. Okay, so then we're good with that then. Let's move forward. 9.2. Go ahead.
Yep, thank you, Your Worship. Also delegated to me. The topic was the official naming of the man-made pond. So as council's aware, we sent that out by email here a couple of weeks ago with some suggestions that have come from staff. There was a clear winner. The clear winner came back as Sunrise Park, and that received 2 votes above the next one, which was actually a 3-way tie, having only 3 votes each. So we didn't present those because this one was the clear winner. There were 2 more. So if council's okay with that, I believe just a general consensus of council and a proclamation that we're going to name that facility Sunrise Park.
Okay, so you'll bring that proclamation to the next meeting?
We can, yeah.
Okay. You're gonna be busy. Okay, perfect.
You delegate to.
And 9.3. Criminal record check for stands with Ukraine. Whose is that one? That's yours?
Thank you, Your Worship. Technically, yeah, that one was assigned to me, but from what I understand, it's a request to have the $25 RCMP criminal background check fee waived for individuals who are looking to put their name in the hat for the Stand with Ukraine initiative.
So those families and the people that are willing to take in displaced Ukrainians, we do the same deal for volunteers with youth sports, I do believe. So, I mean, we need a motion of council to do that, I would imagine.
I believe so, Your Worship, but I think it's a nice gesture too, you know, somebody willing to donate their time on this, they shouldn't have to pay for the criminal
Rowe.
record check.
Sir, according to our criminal record and fingerprint policy, right now, organizations that have a registered phone number, it's a volunteer organization number, they are waived of the $25 fee, but because the Stand with Ukraine is not a formal, they don't have a phone number, so this would have to be a decision of council to waive that fee.
Okay, can we bring that recommendation to the next council meeting then? Okay. Okay, the next ones are mine. So we have a letter from Fox Creek, and it's they're looking for our support to the Utilities Commission regarding increased pricing, and I don't know. I mean, they want us to join them in this attempt to try to ask them to keep their prices down for our residents and nonprofits. So you've all read the letter. I mean, the Utility Commission works on basically what it costs to operate utilities, and with a small profit margin in there. So it's not like they take recommendations from municipalities. They look at real cost of providers and suppliers and tell them what they're allowed to charge. So I'm not sure how lobbying the Utility Commission would help. They'd have to change their policy, and I don't understand how that would work. So does anybody want to support this and write a letter to the Utilities Commission and join up with this municipality? I don't think so. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Councillor Lemko. You know a little bit about how utility commissions work. You have to each independent supplier or transmitter or whatever has to go to the commission with their real cost, and they have to put it in front of the commission, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's a process that is long and convoluted, to tell you the truth. And there's not a lot that, once the commission makes that decision, it's, yeah, I don't think, well, I shouldn't make a statement like that, but it's good to ask, but I don't think there's a lot that can be done.
No, I mean, it's a long regulated process, and I really don't think that they take into account what people, what inflation is for everyday people or municipalities. What's taken into account is the operations, what that company's doing for that year, and there's allowed to be a certain amount of profit, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and the same costs that are seen by the communities is seen by the utility as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just, we'll put that to receive and file, and we have another letter from the St. Paul Search and Rescue Society, and what they're looking for is some funding. They're looking for $200 to the St. Paul Search and Rescue to help with their operational costs, so this will come forward at the next meeting, and you guys can have some debate on it. Okay, now, next up is Vegreville Agricultural Society. The Agricultural Society is excited to be hosting once again our annual fair. This year, the board has decided to go ahead with 5 full days again, August the 3rd to the 7th. As you are aware, this event takes countless volunteer hours. We are hoping that members of town council will once again be interested in driving our shuttle carts for our fair goers. We believe this is a great opportunity for council members to get back to their community and chat with residents and visitors. So this is a no-brainer. I mean, anybody that's done it, it's a lot of fun. And you get to talk to a lot of people from out of town and ask them how they got here and why they came here. And there's some seniors in the community that you get to shuttle back and forth to their vehicles and stuff, and it's a nice time. So we'll be looking for a decision on this. Councillor Lemko, you got some thoughts?
It was a great time, an opportunity to communicate with many, many people and show the residents that come from other communities how great of it's a chance to ambassador. And they have lots of cookies and sandwiches and coffee and stuff for the volunteers. So it's a great place to spend some days.
Okay, so this will come to Monday as well, and we'll let them know after the Monday's meeting. Okay, so that's it for that portion, and we're gonna move on to roundtable discussions, and we're gonna start with Councillor Bullock. Oh,
Your worship, you missed one on St. Paul Search and Rescue Society.
did I? That's crazy. I don't think I did.
No, you just moved it over to Monday.
The decision on the $200 donation? Yeah, I said that'll come up on Monday. Who was talking when you weren't listening? Okay, let's just move forward here. Okay, we'll start with Councillor Bullock.
Okay, Your Worship, for my discussion, I'd like to talk about what I brought up at the beginning, talking about the agenda coming out. So when we get the agenda for the ledge meeting, it's just for instance, this one that just came yesterday to us at about 10 to 5, didn't give us a whole lot of time to review the amount that is on this agenda. So I'd really like to see the agenda for the legislative committee meeting the end of day Friday prior to this meeting. It's, I don't think it's doing the community a good service when we don't get this in time to absorb everything that's on the agenda. So I don't think it's fair for everybody to rush into it at this point. Now, I'm sure there's other sides to the story, but I don't think that's nearly enough time to review it properly. Other people, some councillors, have another job. Some were at meetings last night and stuff like that. So it becomes a marathon in reading. What you can absorb and what you can think clearly through could be an issue. So I would like to see that come out prior so we could have some decent amount of time to review it and research some of the stuff that's on it, so we make a proper decision and maybe not run into some of the situations that we're actually having, where maybe some of the stuff could have been talked out a little beforehand. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, what did Chris, CAO,
Yep.
like it on this? Thank
Thank you, Your Worship, and appreciate you bringing that up, Councillor Bullock. We'll look into, and perhaps the legislative coordinator knows right now, are the deadlines for the agendas set by bylaw with us, or have they just been dates that we've used as a matter of practice over the years?
The release dates and times and yes, there is a time, so I was late. The release dates are in the council procedural bylaw. So that bylaw is up for review, and so it is definitely something we can discuss and look at a change for that time. And that would not be an issue getting it to you earlier. The only thing is that anything that would come in on the Monday or the Tuesday morning would then have to wait for another, because the agenda's been released. The ledge agenda, we usually don't release right away because I can make changes right up until the point of time of releasing it. And that, because it's not a set release, it kind of gives me that option, or us, sorry, administration, that option. Whereas council agendas, they go out Friday, and once that agenda goes out to the public, there are no changes made. So it could be a supplemental that will be made on the Monday, but we tend to make sure that we don't play with the agendas once they're released to the public.
Okay, any other comments?
I guess my question would be, would that be okay, Counselor, if, you know, we etched it in stone on that Friday, recognizing that, then yeah, if something bubbled up Monday or late Tuesday, then it may not make it. However, in a past life, what I did with that was, you know, if and when that happened, those late items, and we would term them late items, would be presented as late items on the agenda as part of the sort of call to order. And it would go something like, you know, call to order, okay, adoption of the agenda, great, are there any late items to adopt? And then they would be introduced by the chair at that point. They wouldn't necessarily have gone public on the system because they are late items, but then we would put them in the minutes to at least have them captured somewhere in the written records at that point.
I would actually like that.
Okay.
That would help. That would help, just for instances.
Yeah,
like
and
this.
that makes sure our ability to get, you know, short-term reactive stuff in front of you without having to push it off a couple of weeks, but still maintain that ability to get it on a written record somewhere. Would that, Sandra, do you feel that would work?
Well, I think in all fairness to the situation here with our executive assistant here, legislative coordinator, and through to Chris, some of this falls on me as well. We are dancing with 15 balls in the air right now, and we are expecting a lot out of that position. Sandra has just stepped back from the organization with the Vegreville and area stands with Ukraine. She stepped back from that as of last night, so she have a little bit more time, but there's all a bunch of other balls we're juggling right now. And typically in the past, this council has not seen a problem getting agendas that were timely, and we were nimble enough to add stuff as it came in. We have a new CAO, and Chris is trying to implement a bunch of different things as we move along on these lists and stuff like that. I can appreciate that that we do have it within bylaws when these are expected out, and I know once we get back to running very smoothly again, and maybe some of the things I've got going on every minute will come to fruition, and maybe that'll take some of the pressure off trying to get some stuff to council. But as a rule, we always used to see them earlier than what like this week was crazy. I know it was crazy. And there was a lot of stuff in it, and there was some points in it that were contentious, let's say, about some bylaws and stuff. But typically, when this organization is operating at where it should be, basically when we're not having all these balls in the air that we have right now, things usually run a little smoother in what they do. So let's just see what we can do, and if it's adding to the agenda at the very end, let's just everybody try to concentrate and try to do the best job they can. Go ahead, CAO.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So to that end, I mean, I think we could commit to having the bylaw back in 30 days, end of April.
What, to amend the bylaw?
Yeah.
It always worked before. I mean, I'm not saying we need to amend that bylaw when we see our agendas. I mean, this one was late. There's no doubt about it, and there was a lot of other stuff going on. But typically, the dates that are in there to get our agendas have been working for a long time for operation of this organization.
Okay.
I don't really feel we need to change those dates. You can look at the bylaw, and see if you wanna bring it back, that you'd like to change the dates. But like, what I'm saying is that in a normal operations, when there's a lot less stuff that's going through that position, that, and with Chris, with CAO Leggett, being new to the position, so they're trying to bring a lot of synergy to everything with the updates that we're expecting from their positions and tracking everything that's going on. So I just think that we should just show a little patience and everybody try just to do a little bit quicker. And if it means that we add something to the agenda on the day that we couldn't get in on Friday, let's look at that.
So do you still want us to shoot for the Fridays to get them out, Your Worship?
What does the bylaw say right now?
The bylaw states that they go out the Monday before
Yeah.
the meeting, so you would only get one night. However, there are other things that we can do in the meantime to make sure you have the lengthy documents beforehand. For example, like we've been emailing out, the directors have been emailing out the bylaws previous, so you guys have at least the lengthy bylaws, so you have a lot of time to read the 22, 23-page bylaws. We can also do that with the larger reports. We can make a conscious effort to make sure you see the larger stuff definitely earlier than the night before. And we can work on some other things, and in the meantime, work on updating the procedural bylaw and bring it back for council's review.
Okay, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to get to the point where we're adding things because we ran out of time because of these strict dates that we had to hold ourselves to. And the next thing, the public saying, well, why couldn't we? Why, that wasn't on the agenda. That wasn't on the agenda. You know, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, it's really never been a problem in the past, other than, you know, what's going on right now. Does anybody want to change the whole bylaw system about when we get it? Because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come Friday afternoon, Monday morning, and then Tuesday that's going to have to get added in. You feel that you need more time?
I feel in the past two ledge meetings, we definitely needed more time. So that's where I'm at. The last two ledge meetings, it was thrown at us pretty late. So I was able to read it, for sure, but things came up and meetings come up. So sometimes that's not gonna be possible.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Rudy.
I appreciate what you're saying. There has been a lot of additional reading. The last few agendas have been pretty lengthy. And I do appreciate that there are some items that we're getting beforehand. And so maybe even the breaking off of some of the items, that if it's a bylaw, that if we can try to get it the Friday before and the rest of the agenda, and then they're late items. I mean, we can stage it a little bit, because that's the stuff that really takes the nitpicking reading, and even getting it beforehand. I appreciate, sorry, I'm directing it towards Director Rowe, just because, again, when the comments are coming back and forth, for me to catch up on the emails, there were a number. So I do appreciate that this has been kind of unusual. The last couple have been particularly heavy agendas, but
Well, maybe we just don't do a whole bunch of bylaws the same meeting. Do a bylaw once a month. Go ahead, CEO.
Thanks, Worship. So I'd like to start by saying and thanking the members of council that did come back and comment on the bylaws and stuff that had gone out. We do find that very helpful, because then that sort of sets the stage and allows us to do our little background research and prepare. So I think that's working well. In terms of the bylaws themselves, legislative coordinator and I were just discussing that today, and we've sort of unofficially agreed to limit that to 2 per council meeting, just for that reason, so that it doesn't just get bylaw heavy and so on and so forth. That's easy enough for us to do in our project planning documents. You know, but it could be a work in flux a little bit, and a combination of all those things. So we'll do what we can to make sure that we get the information that's ready the week before out to the members of council for review, and then go from there. If that doesn't work, then yeah, as Sandra had mentioned, there's always the opportunity to bring the bylaw back and change the date. It can be done. Yeah.
Well, I personally don't want to see 2 bylaws on the same agenda. It's just too much back and forth, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. The work gets done on emails everybody trying to get their point across in an email to a director or to you. And the work should be done here when we're all sitting in the same room.
Okay.
So we go to one bylaw at a time. And how many more do we have to go through right now? We're gonna do 2 every meeting? Oh,
Jameson.
okay.
Honestly, your worship, it's a lot of work for us too, because
Oh, I
that's,
know.
yeah,
And
so.
I
if-
know, so let's
if-
not,
No, if
let's
you're
not reinvent the wheel here.
Yep,
We
if
can do one
you're,
every couple of weeks here, let's just try to pace ourselves here.
okay,
It's
if
a long
you're,
race.
if you're good with one per meeting and so's council, we're more than happy to work with
Well,
that.
especially at the ledge, it's getting late now, for everybody, we got another agenda, a lot of important stuff that we need to deal with. Plus the fact that if we're working, the working is not you emailing him emailing back to us. Working is when we're all sitting together. So I appreciate some of the pre-stuff that's done with the comments back and forth, but when we're all involved in the conversation, to me, that's working together. Okay, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm not finished with my other stuff.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say, just because you brought that up, so I want to make sure that you're okay with where the direction we're going.
Yes.
Okay.
Another thing came up, I was invited to a Facebook group called Vegreville RC Bikes Skills Recreation Park. And it indicates that they've been working with the town on this, and it's about radio controlled machines or little trucks and stuff like that. And BMX bike park, and I just curious to know where the conversation has gone, because you were brought up, Phil, in that conversation with this park. So do you have some information?
Thanks. This was brought up in the September of 2021 by Councillor Rudick, someone in their neighborhood who's got a strong interest in remote control vehicles. I had started a discussion with them, and basically what they were looking at is to create a crawler track, and they were basically looking for a little chunk of land and possibly to go into our landfill and pick out some items that might be disposed of. We had a very good lengthy meeting with a couple of them, and there's a lot of things that they're excited about doing. So I told them first and foremost that they needed to get a formal group together, and there's nothing about the BMX skills in that. So this was all radio or remote controlled vehicles. So they were to build a group or a committee and then bring back some information that I asked them for. So that's where they're at.
All right, so I guess if you need anything from us, you'll ask, I guess. If you need anything from us, you'll probably ask for it there. Another part, just about the parks, and I know, I wasn't on council at the time when it was talked about parks, and I heard about the possible, like by Foxview there, in that park. I heard something about a possible plan for a BMX type area. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
In the Parks Master Plan, when it was presented, an outline of Foxview Park had an area for a BMX bounce track, I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Pump track. It never got to fruition. There was no money put aside for that. So, but there is a plan in place for it.
I think to be fair here, because we discussed this in an open meeting, there was a couple local contractors that said they were gonna go in and help shape some of that land and stuff, and they never did. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing here. So hopefully that we'll contact them. If you want, I'll contact them and see what their plans are still to go ahead with that.
Yeah, we can have a discussion with
Sure,
them.
let's get together and get a hold of them. Go ahead.
Your worship, I'd be happy to be involved in that too. I've actually overseen the construction of a skate park and a couple of bike pump tracks and jump tracks myself, so.
Okay, so, as the ground, we'll get him in before they get busy too, and, we'll get a schedule from them, so then we'll all get hooked up there.
Another thing just came about is the Vegreville Farmers Market at the Elks Hall kicked off this past weekend, so they're gonna be back on their Friday schedules, except for one, the special one before Easter here will be on the Thursday before, just so everybody knows it's kicked off again. And I also received from a citizen called me about a water meter issue. He said that his bill was really large and he said there was no water being wasted there, nothing was running. And I know he was just talking about stuff like that, and I said that he talked to, the proper channels in there, and my belief is that he did already, but is there some issue with these water meters or anything like that?
I'm not aware of the issue, it's not been brought to my attention, but if he's contacted the utilities, then utilities upstairs, then the utilities department will go send someone to and check his meter out. But personally, I don't know anything about it.
All right, thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Wawa.
Okay, actually, most of the issues I had were covered in our discussions, so that's good. The only other thing I just wanted to throw in again is that I know we've talked about before, but a lot of the issues that people bring forward quite often will be with, a facility or an area in town. So I am looking forward to doing a visit of our facilities again. Even as counselors, we're not in every place and things change. So I think sometimes it helps us to answer the questions we're getting. So I do look forward to that as we hit closer into spring here. And everything else I had, we actually covered within the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, so a counselor tour of the town-owned facilities, so everybody knows what we're talking about and how they work. Okay, it's always been something we've done in the past, and
it's even been a little while even for us. We went through a few of them, but there's been a lot of changes that we hear about and updates we get from our directors. So sometimes it's good to see it in person, and sometimes it'll help us also when we're responding back to constituents when they're bringing something forward because we've been there. So, I think that'll be great.
okay, we'll leave that with admin. They planted, maybe the lagoons and the landfill may be a little soft yet, but we'll see how that
But
goes.
even more fun.
Councilor Barry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be quick, lighthearted to some extent. Councillor Bullock and I attended the library for reading to the children last Thursday, and also a coffee break, meet a councillor and have coffee. It's pretty obvious that the community hasn't really got back to normal just yet, because we only had about 3 or 4 kids, but they enjoyed it. And I just wanted to point out that the one young fellow actually thought that the water around town and the big puddles was absolutely great for riding his bike through. So he was pleased. He was pleased with the way things were going. At the coffee break, we didn't have a lot of people. We did have one individual who came with his family there and was also volunteering, and is a new business owner. And when he was trying to figure out what we were doing there and we got talking, he made the statement that other than mental health conditions in the town and the fact that the RCMP are burdened with all of that, that we needed to work on that area. Other than that, he gave us a 10 for 10 on everything else in the town. And he's only been here for a year and a half, moved out of Edmonton, an area close to where I used to live, and feels that living out here is an awful lot better than living there. And the last thing I'd just like to bring up is that the river is very high now, and it's really moving. And with the amount of snow that's still around, it's probably going to come up another few feet. So we probably will, especially in the surrounding areas, start to see a little bit of flooding. So people need to be really careful, especially keep warning the kids. And they're also filling the park pond down there right now from the river. So that, as the water comes up, the ice will be rotting out of there very quickly. So again, make sure the kids are very aware of that if they're down around the park, and keep them away from the river and the pond. So that's just my safety message for today. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Curtis.
Thank you. A couple things, just after our VTAB meeting the other night. Just want to let everybody know a new supervisor's been hired for the Visitor Information Center. Stacy Barrett, who was the former owner and operator of the 2CC food truck, is there now, so we can welcome her to the crew. Just want to throw that in there. The other thing was spring registration. I heard was well done this year, and we had 27 organizations represented, which was up from 22 in 2019, with around 200 people attending, as well as the online feature for signing up was used too. So that's really good for sports coming back for all the kids. Another thing is we're looking to have another mural put up in town. It's a beautiful mural, actually. I saw a picture of it. It's with a, I want to say, I don't know if I'm saying it's right, a Tonka doll and an elk, and has the Passaic in the background, wheat fields. It looks really, really, really pretty. And you know, we like try and beautify up downtown. We have some other murals down there right now on the side of Synergy, Ziegler's Fashions, and that. So another one looking to come up, which is budgeted for. So that's nice. We're looking for a new place for that one. One other thing here. No, that was all. Sorry, that's all I had for my update. So thank you.
So can I ask, was there any other choices on the murals? Did you guys have to make a decision on murals, or was?
From what I was told, sorry, I did find. So they're looking to update the one that's currently on the side of Fabric Land. Sorry, on the side of Ziegler's Fashions. That's in there, but this is the only picture that I was given. That was part of it. So they're looking at putting this one up. I didn't see any other choices. I didn't see where it was decided on, but this was what was given forward. We can double check. I can talk with Annie and maybe bring back some more information, but this is what was presented at the meeting.
Okay.
So that is all I have for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Rudick.
I've got a few things. The library is open for full hours, Tuesday till Saturday, and the end of the month we'll be looking at opening up on Mondays as well, so that's a good thing. And lots of programs offered over the spring break, and some new programs like Coffee with the Counselor will be end of the month's feature. So thank you very much to Councillors Bullock and Berry for showing up and entertaining who was there. Minburn Foundation is currently undergoing some renovations in the facility. There are some vacancies in the facility, and these are mostly rooms that do not have some of the individual shower or bath facilities. So they're currently renovating to take two smaller suites and make them into one bigger one. So that'll be a great addition to that facility, as their vacancy was quite low during COVID, and part of that is due to the restrictions of people coming in and out of the facility due to public health orders. But it is definitely having an increase, and hopefully this will assist with that as well. I wanted to just do a little bit of a retrospective reflection, so that it was 5 years ago that Town Council brought their resolution forward to the Rural Municipalities Association, talking about our concern about the closure of the CPC. So just as we're looking at all the things that are happening currently, that 5 years passed quickly. Some days it was very slow, but there's a lot of things that have happened since that time. So that was the start off of our activity advocating for Vegreville. And the reason that sort of came forward is attending RMA myself, but also speaking with somebody else who's involved in media, and knowing Vegreville based on that campaign 5 years later. Last week, I attended a conference in my capacity as FCM, talking about how to include sustainable or green options in the municipal stream, and how we can continue to do some of the ventures, and we've talked about that here on this council. And I've got some more information to provide to Megan and some of the other directors, specifically about the Green Municipal Fund and how that can be really applicable to a lot of our potential grant applications. What I would say about that too is that a considerable amount of attention has been given to the RCMP retroactive pay. So I've done quite a few interviews last week and this week talking about that issue, and hopefully the federal budget will have a positive answer, because we're asking for the federal government to absorb all that retroactive pay. So hopefully that'll be not just an item that you put aside, direct or SASQ, but maybe something that we can actually put back into our budget this year.
The budget is expected on Thursday?
April 7th, yeah. So I'll have my fingers crossed.
I seen something from FCM says that it's almost a given. Was that true?
That's not what I said in my speaking notes for my interview, but we are hopeful, I believe was the terminology. Fingers crossed.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Lemko.
Thanks, Your Worship. Not to drag this out, but I have a suggestion around the bylaw. Is there a possible that if we're making changes to an existing bylaw that we will repeal, can we have the new notes put in the old bylaw, that we have one copy in front of us, the new bylaw be highlighted or in yellow or something, so that we can refer that section to the changes that are being made? We have, and the reason I say this is the bylaw that the tourism board put forth, there's a discussion at the tourism board level that we need to change the bylaw to make it more workable for us. We presented that back, and then the changes that we recommended in there came back, and there were other changes that we didn't notice because we didn't ask for them. And they were in there. So one of the changes was that the chair of that committee has to be a member of council. So we would have never asked for that because we think the committee should be anybody that's on the committee can be the chair. It doesn't have to be a councillor. So we don't know how that got in there. But if we had it highlighted and seen it, we might have made the recommendation as a council to say, no, that's not the intent of this. So I don't know how it got in there. I'd like to recommend that it gets removed and replaced with what it was before. So I don't know how to work that, but I think if we have an opportunity to review the changes based on the old, it make it easier for me, and I'm not sure about the others. Anyway, that's my point. Another item, I had a resident contact me about some water in the alley. Now, there's water in all the alleys, but the resident was concerned. I forwarded that email to CEO Leggett. It was acted upon instantly through the department, through Dale's department and on down. So I want to just send kudos to you guys for acting on a concern that a resident had, following up through the proper channels. So certainly I commend you guys for the work there and how quickly it was addressed.
Come on in.
The last item I have is the Stand With Ukraine. The call out came from His Worship and Council that we need to do something because the residents felt the need for us to do something. So less than 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting at the Social Center. We had representatives from the Ukrainian community out there, the people from outside of our community, Mayor Lamont, Mayor of Mundare, and many other officials in the capacity that were there. From there, we wanted to identify a working group to take this forward to make what Stand With Ukraine looks like in Vegreville. Other than that, we do have a committee that is functional, it's running, and it's working well. And kudos to the people who stepped up, the champions in that room that are taking this forward and making something happen. So I want to send out thanks to Natalia Toroshenko, who is the committee chair. She's leading this wonderful group of individuals. Our communications champion, Nicole Radcliffe, who has got a bunch of people under her that will handle all the communications, and the volunteers that chose to work with that committee. Donations and the donation center is Jeannie Maximchuk, and she will be running the champion there with lots of volunteers who have suggested that they would like to participate in that donation center. Financial is being looked after by the Cultural Association under Curtis Zorniak, the president there. And they've worked with Cheryl Simbaluk at Synergy, Ivan Bomback, a lawyer, and they've got financial donations now can go through the Chamber of Commerce. Roxanne's there, and she'll be able to give tax receipts for individuals and information to businesses who wish to donate, and they will be making deposits in the ATB in an account for that. Cindy Bedell is looking after the volunteers. So if you want to volunteer, get hold of Cindy, and she will put your name down and identify where you would like to work, and that. Another is the support. Once the arriving families come here, we need to support those folks. And what support looks like is language, interpreters, support with transportation and medical, getting kids to the school, getting registered with the school, and those kind of things, long-term jobs and that stuff. So Larissa Bomback is leading that group of volunteers. Right now, we're trying to identify locations for the Ukrainian families who are arriving shortly with places to stay. So housing, and right now we're putting out a media campaign to say if you have housing that you wish to, or someone that you want to accept into your home, you'll be able to put that in through the communications team and identify that, and then we'll vet that, and we'll make sure that the synergies between those people and the people who are requesting to have families with them, so that works for everybody. This is Vegreville and area stands with Ukraine. So we're working with communities of like Lamont and the county Lamont, Mundare, and Warwick, Two Hills, and all the surrounding area right now to work together, fundraising together, and that. And we also have another champion in fundraising. Michelle Henderson is taking on a huge project and all the fundraising activities. So she's, you stay tuned because we're gonna have a huge pierogi supper, and we're gonna call out to the citizens of Vegreville to pinch pierogies because we're gonna be selling them out outside the back door and raising funds. We need funds to support the people that are coming, and some humanitarian aid that's going. Fundraising's happening as we speak, 50-50 with the Cultural Association, where $10,000 can be put into the fund to support the efforts. And I must say that this couldn't have happened without the work of administration here. So Sandra has been stellar at getting this organized and all the things, the donation center and the work of administration and getting that facility set up. Jameson for his communication work and helping get up the website and all those other things. And anyone else who was involved in that process couldn't have happened unless their hearts were in it to make it happen. So what I'm saying is now the committee is functioning. The community needs to rally around that committee. Sandra, Jameson, council, and we'll take a backdoor approach to how we'll be doing the background work, like everything with communicating with the government officials and all that, to make sure that this continues to roll and be what it is. We're expecting a number of families. The ask to us was, can you take 100, 200 families? And certainly we'd love to, but there's a lot of work to get there. So without support from the community, this committee, and everyone else, we want to make this certainly happen. And again, thanks to the team, Sandra Jameson, for making it to this point. And we'll let Natalia and her wonderful group of people and all the volunteers under them carry this forward. That's all I have, Worship.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this new committee, and if anybody's out there wondering how they can make a difference in helping these displaced Ukrainians and humanitarian aid for the people that are still in Ukraine and what they're going through, reach out to Natalia or any of the people that Councillor Lemko has brought up. Councillor Lemko's had a big role in this, And as he says, we will be working behind the scenes to help facilitate this committee the best we can. And I do appreciate the efforts of our admin. It was a big task to get it going, and now we can stand back a little bit on the everyday running of it, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And like we talked about last night, I was at the meeting. This is not something that's going to be over in 3 weeks. This is something that's going to be ongoing for a number of years. So this is not get burnt out in 2 days, because this relief effort is going to be, and again. So that's what I have. I don't want to stall up anymore right now. We'll move to the director's highlights, and we'll start with Director Saskia.
In the presence of time, I've got nothing.
Ah, the old Paul trick, yeah. Okay. Director LaFave.
Thank you, Worship. I'll be speedy quick. We have a pre-construction meeting with Inline tomorrow, so that's the ones that are doing the on-site, the actual park itself. So we'll hopefully get a schedule, see where they're going, what their plans are. And you're still around tomorrow, Your Worship?
Leaving at 4 a.m, but
Okay.
you can, like, I got 3
We'll
hours in
talk
Montreal. You can reach me. I'm in the same country.
Yeah, no problem.
Don't hesitate.
And I had down exactly what Councillor Berry had with regards to the river rising, the rate it's been rising, the filling of the pond, the safety. It's on 106 often about river safety and keep kids back, so we have been working on that for sure.
Do we have any predictions how high the river may be based on snowfall or?
It's going to be good. I mean, it's been sitting at about 1.5 meters for a month now because it hasn't been moving, and it started moving obviously about 4 days ago. Saturday was still 1.5, Sunday 2.3, Monday, yesterday was at 2.9 meters, and right now as we speak it was at 3.032. When we get to 4 meters, which I'm confident we're gonna hit shortly, then that's when the park starts to flood over, the lower campstall sites start to flood. So we'll have to see. We've been fortunate up to now with the slow melt. The rain didn't help us. What is helping us is that it's not plus 18 outside. So I see it rising more in the next week for sure.
And what about our mitigation lagoon system for the stormwater?
At this point, it's doing fine because it's just the beginning. It's only been a couple days, but North Parkway drainage is, we'll see what it does with this amount. This is an unusual snow. I know everybody realizes that, so it's going to stress everything right out for sure. But just to let you know that we're obviously very aware of it. The surrounding river around us, different cross points. Is it flowing downstream? We've been working with the county to make sure that downstream from here, we've got things opened up. So we're doing what we can to mitigate any issues.
Good.
That is my report.
Thank you. Director Rowe.
Well, I did have a report, but thanks to Councillor Berry, Councillor Curtis, and Director LaFave, they've covered everything, so I'm done.
Okay. CAO Leggett.
Thank you, Your Worship, and mine's just about the action items here, so we have an updated action item list for council. I have made some notes on a few things, one being the organization review project here. The contract has been awarded for that, and I received the terms of reference and a scope of work document today that's been circulated to senior staff for review. Yeah, a couple of completed bylaws, and we marked them down complete as the drafts have hit the council agendas now, so it's we consider those pretty much done. Naming contest has been done, and then yeah, everything else is looking good and either complete or well underway.
Okay. Thank you for this, and again, it's nice to know where we're. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just have a question. I mean, just want to say, thanks to everybody there. That action item list has come way down, so really good job. I know it was pretty daunting when it first came out. It looks good now. I guess my only question is, there's two things I don't see on there, and it might be just the season. I haven't started yet, but I just wanted to double check on the signs and the family change room at the aquatic center. I don't see them on there, so I'm just wondering where we're at with those.
So you're talking about the wayfinding mission or the signs on the highway?
Highway signs.
Okay, so we'll leave that to to Director Rowe to bring a report back next meeting on that. And when at budget time, we were looking at making the family washroom a bit of a priority at the pool, and we were wondering, did we get any prices, any drawings done on what that changes to the facility would look like?
We're working on that with Vantage on what the possibilities are.
Okay. Go ahead, CEO.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So if it's okay with council, I'll add those two items here and they'll appear on the next action tracking sheet.
Okay. So I see that Vantage Builders put up a picture of the renovations at an office on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Yeah, it was a post by the Vantage Builders of a new office at the Parks and Rec Department.
That could be just behind the reception area there at the arena.
Well, we know exactly where it's at. Yeah. Do they typically, contractors start putting up Facebook posts of okay, well, we'll just check in that with your, find out what the deal was. Okay. Okay, so that's it for, things of councils. I'm pretty sure, the do with council. Does anybody have anything that we should bring forward? Okay, that being said, we do have a few things to get to at a different type of meeting, so this time I would like to take a motion to go into a closed session. Councilor Rudick makes the motion at 6:06.